students, today we are going to study a new poem, and the title of this poem is The Chimney Sweeper. It is written by William Blake. So before we begin, let me just read the poem. The title of this poem is The Chimney Sweeper. When my mother died, I was very young. When my mother died, I was very young, and my father sold me while yet my tongue could scarcely cry, Weep, 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 so your chimneys I sweep, and in soot I sleep. There is little Tom Dacre, who cried when his head that curled like a lamb's back was shaved. So I said, Hush, Tom, never mind it. For when your head is bare, you know that the soot cannot spoil your white hair. And so he was quiet. And that very night, as Tom was a-sleeping, he had such a sight that thousands of sweepers, Dick, Joe, Ned, and Jack, were all of them locked up in coffins of black. And by came an angel, who had a bright key, and he opened the coffins and set them all free. Then down a green plain, leaping, laughing, they run, and wash in a river and shine in the sun. Then naked and white, all their bags left behind, they rise upon clouds and sport in the wind. And the angel told him, if he would be a good boy, he would have God for his father and never want joy. And so Tom awoke, and we rose in the dark and got with our bags and our brushes to work. Though the morning was cold, Tom was very happy and warm. So if all do their duty, they need not fear harm. So this poem is written by William Blake. He was an English poet, painter, and printmaker. William Blake was born in London in 1757 and died at the age of 69 in 1827. Through this poem, the poet talks about the miserable condition of the chimney sweepers. Miserable means dukkhaದಿಂದ ಕೂಡಿದ. It is taken from his collection of poems, Songs of Innocence, which was published in 1789. In fact, it was published in two parts. Presently, we are going to study the first part only. The second part of the poem was published in his collection of poems, Songs of Experience. In those days, since there was no technology, rich people used to employ little children to clean their chimneys. Employ means barasu. So the poem is all about child labor and their sorrows and sufferings. Sorrows means alalu, golu. Sufferings, parishrama. It is a story of a young boy who was sold by his father after the death of his mother. He was sold by his father even before he could learn to speak. The boy tells us how he works all day long and sleeps covered in a suit. In those days, at the age of 4 and 5, due to their small size, little children were sold to clean chimneys. In most of the cases, these children used to die from either falling through the chimneys or from lung damage and other horrible diseases due to breathing in the soot. So, in those days, since there was no technology, so these little children were employed by the rich people to clean their chimneys. And in majority of the cases, these children used to die either falling through the chimneys or from lung damage, because they were supposed to work in an environment where there was lot of soot. Soot means kadige, kittu, hogemasi. In the second stanza, we meet a new boy. His name is Tom Dacre. When his curly lamb-like hair was shaved, the young boy cries helplessly. This new boy, whose name was Tom Dacre, when he was employed as a chimney sweeper, his hair was shaved. He had curly lamb-like hair. Curly means gunguru, lamb means ordinary. So the boy cries helplessly. At that time, the speaker boy consoles Tom. Console means samadhana madu. He tells him that he should not worry about his haircut because the haircut would save him from soot getting into his hair. In the next stanza, the poet talks about Tom's strange dream. As it happens, when Tom fell asleep, he saw thousands of sweepers locked up in some black coffins. In his dream, he was able to see Dick, Joe, Ned, Jack and many others in those coffins. Coffin means henada pettige. So Tom was having a very strange dream, and in his dream he saw thousands of chimney sweepers were locked up in black coffins, and then came an angel. The angel came with a bright key, and the angel opens their coffins and set them all free. Now those children are free, and as they are free, they run down on a green plain, jumping and dancing. Plain means Bayalu Pradesha. These children, they wash themselves in a river, and they look very bright. They look as bright as the sun. They are shining like the sun. All dead chimney sweepers look clean. They are naked, and they are seen flying on the clouds. They play in the wind. Then the angel tells Tom that if he behaves well, God will become his permanent father, and he will get everything he desires for. He will always be happy. So the angel tells Tom that his behavior, good behavior, his dutifulness will definitely make him very happy, and God will become his father. In the last stanza means nudi, as the dream ends, Tom and his friends wake up early in the morning and go to work with their bags and brushes. Though it was too early and very cold to work, Tom was very happy and felt warm because he knew that if they did their work sincerely, They need not fear. They need not fear any harm. Harm means apaya. He thinks that if he works hard, everything will be very good and he will get all that he desires. So here we see the children like Tom and the speaker are forced into a miserable world. The work of chimney sweeping corrupts innocence of those little children. Innocence means mugdhate. Corrupt, bhrashta madu, kedesu. So those little children who are very innocent, their innocence is corrupted by that work, the work of chimney sweeping. Through the dream of Tom, the poet talks about salvation from a life of hardships. Hardships, difficulties. The poet tells us about the salvation from a life of hardships through the dream of Tom. Those young children who are forced into working as chimney sweepers look to religion as a way of finding hope in the midst of misery. Midst means naduve. Misery means dukkha. So those children, they are looking to religion as a way of finding hope because their life is full of misery. They are very unhappy, miserable. There is no hope. So religion and the concept of God is a kind of a hope for these miserable children. The work of chimney sweeping corrupts innocence of those children. Those young boys are forced into working as chimney sweepers, and the poet throws light on their miserable conditions. No doubt, the earthly life is full of hardships and suffering. Life on this earth is full of difficulties, full of problems. But there is a promise that each well-behaved and dutiful boy, dutiful means videya seva manobhava, each well-behaved and dutiful boy will be rewarded, bahumana, with the joy and God for his father. So there is a kind of a consolation here. The life on this earth is full of problems. The life on this earth is full of hardships and sufferings. The life on this earth is miserable, but there is a promise that if we work sincerely, we will be rewarded with joy, and God is going to be our Father. Here, the poet criticizes the view of the church that through work and hardships, reward in the next life would be attained. The poet is very critical here. He is not in favor of such kind of philosophy. He is criticizing the church because the church or the religion propagates this philosophy that life on this earth is full of hardships, full of problems, and if we do our duties sincerely, we will. So here the poet throws light on exploitation done by the society. The last line of the poem shows us the mindset of the society. Here we see the children are made to work like slaves, gulamaru. The children are made to believe that if they work sincerely, they need not worry of the consequences and God will always protect them. Consequences means parinamagal. So they are made to believe that if they work sincerely, they need not worry about the consequences and God will always protect them. So, through this poem, the poet criticizes the society for employing little children to clean chimneys and spoiling the innocence of those children.